I always have to put a cat in somewhere. So here it is, the poor security questionnaire cat. So I know that you all have experience with this kind of stuff. So today it's going to be all about how to manage those external questions and requirements in a way that can, if not end the discussion, at least shorten it, make it easier and faster to get through. I can of course not promise that you will never get questions again, but you can definitely make it easier for yourself. So we're going to go a little bit more into the statement of applicability, also called the SOA, that we have inside the application as well. And then the documentation package, which will be really easy now because you've done all the work. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about some results from a research project that we've had together with the IT University. And I think actually some of you have been part of that, giving an interview to that. There's some findings there that I think are interesting to share here. And then additional tips for how to build trust and avoiding those long discussions. The final homework, it's a really small thing. It's about the statement of applicability. And then the feedback. So when we look through the statement of applicability, you're going to see inside the application, I'm going to demo in just a second where it is if you're not sure. And you will have everything that you have created a policy for will have something either defined, implemented, or fully defined, partially implemented, or fully implemented. So if you see anything that's not applicable, those are the ones we want to have a look at. So if we go in here, so you have the whole list here, 93 controls. So this text here, the number and the text is directly from the standard. And then you have your implementation status, and you can write a note if you want to. And the way it's implemented is described in one or more policies. Okay, so yours should look something like this. Maybe you have changed some of this to implemented. If you change the status here, it's going to affect all the related policies. In this case, only one. You can also go in from the policy and change the status in there, and then it will show up under here. So in case you have two policies that both talk about this control, you can change it on the policy level, or you can change the control to affect both policies. Okay, so this status is calculated based on these, so it will take the minimum, so to speak. So if one is only defined, then it's going to say, okay, the control is only defined, it hasn't been fully implemented. And if I change it to implemented, it's like this. If for some reason you say we are not talking about this control at all in this policy, so it's not applicable, it's not going to affect the overall status. It's sort of a neutral thing here. Okay, but what you want to focus on, because you've already written your policies, so this part should be okay. And if you don't have any gaps, if everything you said in your policy is also implemented in reality, so you don't have lines in your risk assessment or anywhere else, then you will simply say it's implemented on all the policies, and then all the controls that are related to that policy will also be implemented. So what you want to do is simply find all the ones that say not applicable. And if you agree that it's not applicable to you, write a little note. We don't have information security concerns in projects. That could be one thing you could write, or you could write information security is built into project management. So this is, instead of writing a whole policy, you just write a little note, because there's really nothing to say. So find all the ones that are gray. And for example, secure areas, that's an interesting one. If you don't have like a factory or some special, you do something very, very secret where you have a secure area, you don't have secure areas, so you just write, we don't have any secure areas. And then you have justified why it's not applicable. We don't have that. Okay, so you might be asking yourself now, well, how do I know, just based on this headline, whether this is applicable to me or not, working in secure areas? Okay, here's some examples of what you can actually write. So sometimes it is relevant, like physical entry control, but it's just we have a lock on the door. So that doesn't require a full policy. So if you're not sure what this means, there's a really nice place to look up here. So the first link here will give you just a list that is exactly the same as in the standard. So it has the headline and then a little bit more. Sometimes that's enough. If not, then you go to the next one, where you can find a full explanation of every single one of these. So, for example, yeah. So you'll have the whole explanation of what it is and how you can secure this. Okay. Do we have any questions on this before I continue? You basically just want to check all the gray ones if you agree that they are not applicable or if they actually are applicable to you.
So what if they are applicable?
Yeah, okay. So then you simply, like in this example, so let's say this one is applicable, then you write a little note on how is it actually implemented, and then you just change the status. So let's say we do actually have an office, and we have a lock and access cards. And if you want to instead link it up to an existing policy, that's going to be possible as well very soon. That's a little thing missing in right now, but if you go in here and look, so let's say, so we have linked them up. So most of the controls are already linked up on policies, but some of them are not. And if you disagree and you would rather put it into a policy, you will be able to, go into edits up here, and in the control list, add one of the controls here. It's just missing right now, but it will be there very soon. I'll tell you when it's ready. Does that make sense? Yes. But you have like almost all of them already linked up. I think it's something like 15 that are not linked up, either because they're really rarely used, like the secure loading area, or we somehow thought it was, clock synchronization is also rarely used. But if it is used for you, or you find it that you like it better to link it up to a policy and just write the note in the policy, you can do that instead. just make sure you check if you agree that they're not applicable. So you don't have something here where you're like, oh, actually, this is relevant for us. Yeah. Any more questions for this?